Andreas, carbon pricing is one of the big elephants in the room when it comes to accelerating the heat transition, and we will also have the emission trading scheme number 2 coming now, which will kind of strengthen further what we had already in place. How do you see the role of carbon pricing to accelerate the heat transition, and what do you think we still need to improve maybe in that sense to make it really work?
So carbon pricing is one of the most promising policies coming out of the Fit for 55 package and out of the whole EU Green Deal when it comes to buildings. Why? Because it's a common EU policy that will deliver an additional price signal and really change the economics of clean heating. So currently we have carbon pricing in a few countries, often countries where at a higher level like Sweden, where decarbonized heating is also really a reality today, and it changes the economic calculation for a household, for a business, as to what to invest in. Currently, in many parts of Europe, gas, fossil fuels are still the cheaper option. And over time, the ETS2 has the promise of making it a more affordable option to invest in clean heating, and at the same time it will generate revenues for governments that they can reinvest. So it could be a really strong signal. The challenge will now be to properly prepare, because affordability is a key concern for policymakers. It is something that will be a shock to consumers if it comes all of a sudden. So it's really the responsibility, we believe, of governments to prepare the support of their citizens, to inform them, and to get them ready. And that is now is really the time, because households are also still making investments that they might regret if they make the wrong decision. And at the same time, if they hear the right signal that they're making the right investment into clean heating and it will pay off over time, and they're going to be supported along that way, that's really what we need to hear right now to get them ready.
And you were saying in terms of using those revenues and reinvest them, it can also be used, of course, to support energy households which suffer from energy poverty, or households which are which cannot afford maybe themselves to change their heating system, right?
That's right. Part of the Fit for 55 is also the Social Climate Fund, which not only kind of requires or challenges member states to reserve funding for the most vulnerable and low-income households, but actually create some kind of some level of redistribution between richer member states and poorer member states, allowing the most vulnerable, even in the most vulnerable countries, to have more support. And again, the challenge now to member states will be to take use of that opportunity, those additional funds, and to target them then really to the most vulnerable households and low-income households. That will be a challenge. We don't always have the best data. We don't always know exactly how to do that in an efficient way with all of the administrative processes that might entail. But now's the time to really move forward with that, so that, again, we can make sure that it's a socially just transition.
Right. So carbon pricing on the one hand side to create a level playing field, and on the other hand side also to alleviate energy poverty.
That's right. I mean, in the end, it will make fossil fuel heating more expensive for some households, and yet in many cases the revenues can be kind of an incentive for and a resource for governments to support the most vulnerable, to give them better living conditions, and also many households that maybe simply don't have enough of an incentive, where it would already make sense to invest in clean heating today, will just be given that additional nudge, where it isn't a question necessarily of affordability today, it's about payback time over time, and that payback will improve, and so they'll get that additional nudge.
Super, thank you so much, Andreas.
Thank you.
Thank you.